you know. Good.
I'm hitting record. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Nomad Gamers podcast. You have myself, Kaiser Chungus, Godfather, and Fireball123D. We make up your Nomad Gamers. Welcome back to the Shire. I want to give a shout out to the YouTube viewers. We appreciate your viewership. We're at 30 subscribers as of now. Um, Gaining some numbers, gaining some following. We love to see that. We love that. Facebook, last updated look at that I did, we are 10 followers away from that 100 follower goal. We're so close to going live with you guys. So close. Want to give a shout out to Godfather's Facebook. Hello, welcome to the episode. Fireball's socials, all of them, including Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, Kick, Omegle, and certain other ones. I want to
OnlyFans.
thank you to
No, it's Patreon.
but yeah, we make up your Nomad Gamers. Let's get right into it, shall we?
Right into it.
Yeah. Who wants to go first? Who wants to dabble up with it?
I got nothing as of
Red
today,
Fireball.
so I'm still. Hey, what's up, Shadow? How you doing, man? I did see something. Um, that I'm looking for it again because I
Mic
lost
closer
it.
to your mouth.
I'm looking for it again. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Chungus, what do you got?
Um, Sony has some deals going on with their PlayStation 5. They're starting to offer discounts on its Pro model and its accessory during the days of play. The 2 week deal will include price cuts on controllers, wireless earbuds, and more, as they say. Probably like extended hard drives and things of that nature, as it says here. So yeah, depending on which region you're in, you might get a bigger discount than others. But you could get a PS5 for a lot cheaper now if you wanted to. Um, God, just to give you an example, the Call of Duty bundle with the PS5 Pro is going to be $400.
Doing pretty good,
That's with
Shadow.
the console controller and the game. So that's, I guess that's cool, right?
I was gonna say the Steam sale for summer should be coming here soon, shouldn't it?
Not quite,
Not quite.
not
Always look
quite.
forward
We
to the
will
summer
we'll
sale.
get there soon. Oh yeah, but
So now that Fireball said something about that, what game are you looking for?
yeah,
Um,
that's a good point. Yeah.
Honestly, anything and everything that comes on the Steam sale. More times than not, when I'm looking through the Steam sale, the summer sale, anything that's a good price that I think I might enjoy is what I go for. So like let's just say, hmm, I mean, I don't. I've already got Baldur's Gate on Xbox, but if I can get it for cheap on PC, then I can go to PC on that. Or let's say, for instance, you know, I don't know. Again, I'm not really looking out for a specific game. I'm just looking for something that I could get for cheap that looks fun. I'm not spending
So got a
60
question.
$80 on.
So got a question for the both of you. Let's just kick it off. Kick it in the balls.
Mm-hmm.
Have either one of you two played Fallout 2 yet?
Oh yeah.
I've played it here and
Fireball.
there in a little bit, but no, I haven't really touched the Top Gun games.
What'd you think of it?
It's it's its own. It's there's a reason why the 3D games are way more popular. The stories aren't bad. The stories, from what I can tell from the first one and two, the stories aren't bad. It's just the gameplay in and of itself is very much dated, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's these are games that came out in the 90s. You know, it shows. It shows pretty well. Um,
It does.
it's a difficulty tweak, as they say, but there's nothing that you can't get past if you don't try to persevere a bit more. But it's just a little more clunkier than first anticipated, so it's kind of leaving a bad taste in the mouth currently.
Well, like I said on Talking Tuesday today, when you fire it up, you you definitely know it's a 90s game.
Mm-hmm.
And like I told them, as much as we shit on Bethesda because they deserve most of what they get, this wasn't made by Bethesda. It wasn't overseen by Bethesda. Bethesda didn't do anything with this game until they bought the franchise in what, the early 2000s?
Hmm.
I think so.
So, uh the intro is cool. The intro I thought was probably very amazing for a 90s game, but I just couldn't get past the bad graphics and the no support. And when I say no support, I mean it was very hard, and if they have it, I couldn't find it. But to figure out what keys did what.
Yeah.
So I mean, kick, punch. I found a spear. Uh, ran into some ants and some rad scorpions in that temple, and that was it. I couldn't do no more. And then I remember why '90s games are so hard. I got soft. You only get one life in those. You don't get three. You don't get multiple. You don't get infinity. You get one. Remember to save and save often.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Again, and that's kind of looking back at. Oh, sorry. Looking back at games that were created in the '90s. Those games, you know, 30 years old. You're 30 years old, and it's like gaming, both graphically enhanced and everything, come a long way from where we were playing on top-down pixels that were probably 8-bit at the time. I have picked up. Speaking of old games, I have picked up and started playing the original first Command and Conquer and replaying that and going, wow, man, the graphics here are kind of pretty bad.
Mhm. But at the time, they were top notch.
At the time, they were top notch. And it's just it's like, man, we've really come a long way from where we once were. Excuse me, sorry. Um, I got a bit of piece of news that Chungus might like.
Hold on just a second, Fireball. But just as we were saying how the graphics were top notch at that time and not so good now, a conversation that Chungus and I had off camera when we were kind of discussing Fallout 2 and what I was up to. Like I told him, when a game gets that old and that bad, it's time for a remake.
Yeah, and
I'd really enjoy to see. I'd really like to see Bethesda uh, reach back into their bag and reintroduce Fallout 2, maybe even Fallout Tactics. I haven't touched it yet, so I couldn't tell you.
and that's the thing is they could do that because I remember EA. I think it was. Hold on, I gotta look that up. But EA just released Command and Conquer Remastered, the first one, and although it's not as graphically enhanced as I thought they would make it out to be, um, they remastered it, and it actually looks quite
Realize
nice.
realized that Fallout 1 and 2 would not have to be remastered. They would have to be remade. Legitimately, if they are going to, they don't have the original source code for those games, they literally will have to rebuild the
And that's what I
game.
said.
Yeah.
Well, he said remake, not remaster. Um, yeah, the
What?
remastered collection for Command and Conquer came out in 2020,
That ain't
and
bad.
they kept. I mean, and even then they kind of they cleaned up the bitrate quite a bit, but they kept the old school look to it. I mean, it's not like
Oh,
Baldur's
you
Gate.
have to.
It's not Baldur's Gate 3 kind of graphics, but it's like they cleaned it up enough to where you don't look like you're just a little single pixel on a screen walking around when you're commanding troops.
Well, when you say that, and you say how EA remade that game, right? EA's got to be the freaking master at timeless classics because they've got uh, the SimCities franchise. Actually, they got all the Sims franchises.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Madden, they got Command and Conquer, and they got that farm simulator.
Well, you can't
And not
say.
that, not not this new farm simulator that came out. They're two totally different ones, but um, they just make titles that are just like timeless and
Um,
simple.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to sit there and say, you can't really say that because they really flopped on the fourth installment of Command and Conquer, but, you know, everybody flops on a game.
Well, that's your opinion. There's some people out there that think it's awesome. I am not one of them, but
Yeah. um, mm, are we ready to move on? Because, I mean, I got two
yeah, I am.
things now. So one, Chungus, you remember playing Adamfall?
Mhm.
What'd you think about it? First off,
It was okay.
it was okay. Well,
Cool story, cool concept. Gameplay was a bit clunky.
speculation. This is just speculation as of 15 hours ago.
Mhm.
Adamfall could be getting a sequel and a TV show.
TV show would be pretty cool. Another game, eh.
I mean, I've
Like I
seen.
said, it's a cool concept. Cool. It's what I thought. It's what I imagined Fallout to be realistically.
Okay.
Right, like that's what I expected from the Fallout games. Um,
Not this like
not
cartoony.
as not as cartoony, right? Yeah, I was expecting a bit more, realism, not the zany wackiness that Fallout is. Um, so, and that's not a bad thing, mind you. They're both unique in their own right, but that's the best comparison we have. Set in the 1950s, atomic energy, that type of that whole atomic punk type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the gameplay is clunky only in the sheer fact of like actual controlling. The combat, I like how difficult it is. Like you genuinely have to pick and choose your battles because you can just get fucked up pretty easily, no matter what you have. Um, so it's a pretty decent game. It's a good survival. It's like a survival game, unironically. So it was pretty fun. Another game, eh. The TV show would excite me a bit more because I'd like to see them actually explore more into this setting because it's pretty interesting actually.
And then the thing that's been taking the world by storm, Battlefront 3. Star Wars Battlefront 3 has been making waves, and from what I've heard, is it's
It's
actually.
not been confirmed at all, so it's nothing to people want it. That's the biggest news about it.
Well,
Unfortunate, unfortunately, because until EA says anything,
well, what I mean by it's making waves is people are actually coming together and trying to mark a specific date to go back into Battlefront 2 and start playing it, so that way EA can start seeing the like elevated player count it has and see that people want this game, or at least try to bring support back to Battlefront 2, so that way they can start adding updates back into it again.
so
That
I'll
ain't
say
gonna
this:
happen.
he's not wrong. Fans really want Battlefront 3, so much so that Battlefront 2 has been pushed to all time Steam peak 8 years after launch.
Yeah,
People genuinely want Star Wars Battlefront 3. And this is with a renewed vigor for the franchise due to the success of Andor.
Mm-hmm.
I want you both to realize that we're good Star Wars stories does not you don't need to have Jedi in them. You don't need to have the Force in it. You just need to legitimately humanize the conflicts within Star Wars, a la how Star Trek has done, how other sci-fi franchises have done, and that successful and people still love them. That's to say people don't love Star Wars. They're just, they want more from it. You want
So
good story.
so I got some news.
Uh-oh.
Have any of you guys been tracking this the news coming in about the Switch 2?
I have
Yes,
actually,
I have
yes.
been tracking it.
So what I'm about to say is probably not going to surprise either one of you.
Depends on what it's about because there's a lot of news surrounding the Switch
Demand
2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
demand demand is so high for the Switch 2 that Nintendo is branching out and getting some of Japan's largest retailers, or how do they put this? Uh, yeah, online marketplaces to tackle the Switch 2 resale. Restrictions may vary depending on the marketplace, but Yahoo Auctions, Yahoo Flea Market has gone so far as to ban all Switch 2 console listings for the foreseeable future. So here's what I see about this. Here's how I'm looking at this. If these are all pre-sales, which means Nintendo's got the money, their money grab might be succeeding.
And I mean, again, you always talk about how we as a group maybe like, this whole thing is trash. Sweet Key Pie just sent something. Hold on real quick. She said, gotta get God's father to turn up the light in front of him and then turn up his mic.
Oh, I need to turn up my mic.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the light as far as it's on. There's no turning it up. It's just on.
But, like you always like to reiterate is us three as a group will say, we don't like this, we don't like what they're trying to do, or we don't like a game or a console. And God's Father always say, that's opinion. Other people might. Um, I've got
Oh,
the stick light,
yeah.
sweet kitty pie. I've got the stick light, but again, you'll be like, that's our opinion. Other people might be like, gonna go grab it, and
A lot of
well, it
people are
looks
stupid,
like,
to be fair.
yeah, but we can't be calling our viewership stupid now, can we?
I didn't say they are. I
What
said a lot of
leadership?
people are.
What's that?
I said viewership,
Calling viewership stupid. I said, I'm not calling anybody. I'm not calling any of our viewers stupid. I'm just, there are people who are very stupid out there.
but you know, it is a
Again, again, it goes to what Fireball was saying was when I say it is our opinion, I kind of foresaw that Nintendo was going to have a huge success on this.
Of
Like
course they would.
all this blowback about the prices and the bricking and just having a license for the game. It was all just background noise in my view.
I mean, yeah, but again, it's these it's these loyalists that sit there and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna." Again, I hate to like beat the dead horse when I say this, but you got the loyalists that'll sit here and just lick the company boot and be like, you know, we love Nintendo no matter what, and then that's how Nintendo gets away with what they're doing because no matter what, they're gonna turn a profit because they've got such a loyal fan base.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And it's not even just a loyal fan base, it's also looking at people who are going to get these councils to scalp and sell forward. I mean, yeah, they're doing their best to limit that, but there are ways around it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm not surprised that the Nintendo Switch is going to be
Successful.
decently sold. Yeah. Wasn't gonna be surprised by that, but I know I'm not gonna be purchasing one ever. Just Nintendo's fallen too down far towards the not consumer friendly, and I'm a consumer. Sucks, I'm one person. I can
You
only make
know,
as much difference as I can,
it's
right?
kind
So
of funny to see, you know, how far PlayStation and PlayStation and Xbox have come together in order to kind of fight off against Nintendo.
what do you mean?
I mean, just more times than not, and you see a lot of people still trying to push the console war here, but they're more teaming up together and sharing
No, they're not.
exclusives.
They're barely sharing exclusives. Sony is not sharing shit basically with Xbox.
I mean, Sony is sharing God of War, Spider Man.
That's
Um,
not with Xbox, that's just with Steam.
at this point, Steam and Xbox go hand in hand.
No, they do not. Steam is its own marketplace, it's its own thing. You could go for Xbox for the console specifically for that because you could play anywhere titles, PC Game Pass, sure, but at the end of the day, those are games you can get only from either the Xbox Game Pass or not, right?
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say though is
You're
with
using
this.
the you're I'm catching you up on the semantics for the sheer fact you're saying they're teaming up. They are not teaming up.
All right, whatever.
Don't get upset and do the
I'm
whatever
not. I'm
because
just.
you
There's
rolled
no
your
point.
eyes. I saw you.
There's no point on me sitting here saying something about it and just be like, actually. So I mean, obviously, I'm gonna be wrong about this because the way I think. So let's just move on forward.
All right. Well, we're here to talk about our points and argue them if they need to be argued.
But I mean, there's no reason to argue on something like this. I'm here physically stating
What are we
Fireball's
arguing
wrong
about?
about this. So
Ooh, I want to know.
move on.
What are we? What's Fireball wrong about?
Just terminology. That's it.
Oh,
Say
Anybody got any
Xbox and
else?
PlayStation are teaming up against Nintendo, and I was like, no, that's not. We can't because
uh-uh.
we're trying to provide correct information here. You can't do that. That's what I'm saying. And even if you agree you were wrong, don't don't get an attitude about it, man. We're here just to talk and to chit chat.
Friendly
You
conversation, man. Friendly.
That being said, I also have news about the Nintendo Switch too. It will need a day one update if you want to be able to use the micro SD card slot that comes with it.
See, that pisses me off.
That's my point. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's so anti-consumer, but for no reason. Like, what is the point of why is the Switch 2 not launching with this ability already? Why do you need a patch? Also, for the sheer fact of that a patch could enable support for it, even though it has the hardware to already do it.
Well, that's almost like any system these days.
That's
Yeah,
why
but I
PC
mean,
stays on top, man.
and this is why, and I will always wholeheartedly say this is why I always think consoles and PCs are better than Nintendo. And I mean, statistically, they are way better because um, you get that micro SD. You can easily in a PlayStation or an Xbox, you can update or upgrade your uh, internal storage to something even bigger. Just pop open the case, find where the storage device is at, put a bigger one in, and now you got, instead of the base, like what, 500 gigabyte a normal storage device comes with for the normal PS5 or the normal Xbox, and then you can just pop in like a 2
See,
terabyte
but
one.
the thing is, the Nintendo doesn't really need storage upgrades like that, right? They don't make games bigger than like 12 to 20 gigs.
Isn't Fortnite on Nintendo Switch?
I'm not sure. I don't know what is on Nintendo Switch.
So if I remember correctly, Fortnite is on the Nintendo Switch, and the Fortnite is like over 100 gigs. Because I remember it being a big.
Yes, Fortnite. Fortnite is on uh Switch.
Because I remember it being a big thing when it came to mobile as well. When Fortnite came to mobile, and then
So again, we like to provide correct information. It takes 20 gigabytes of space on the Nintendo Switch.
Also, the Nintendo Switch has significantly outsold the PlayStation 5.
That's not surprising to me, but
that's
also
not
at the sheer
surprising
fact
either. But
and he wasn't stating that the success lies in the console sold. I think he means more so just it's better statistically, as in hardware wise, like it can actually run
Well,
games.
it all depends on what you're looking for too.
It does. They're different corners of the market, so yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. If you're looking for if you're looking to put PlayStation up against the Switch, as far as
I wouldn't do that honestly. It's so the
I
fucking
wouldn't either,
PlayStation loses.
because no, the Switch loses all day long. The
operating wise, the Switch would
which
lose.
which
what
which PlayStation?
PlayStation 5?
I'm so for me, if I don't care if a console works properly or not, or what if I have to run 30 frames or 60 frames or whatnot. If there's no goddamn games to play, what's the point?
Well, I get that, but what I'm saying though is if you put them head to head on performance,
Well, yeah, the Switch loses
PlayStation
in every
wins.
category. Yeah.
Yes, the same with Xbox. But if you go for niche gamers, that's where Nintendo beats out Sony and possibly Microsoft. I haven't looked up the whole Microsoft thing, but I'm just saying possibly.
For for the fact that it's not niche anymore. You got to realize that. It's more if it's outselling the PlayStation and Sony, it's more popular than
Well,
that.
well, okay,
Well, again, the only reason
let's
that, and this is, I will stand by this till I die. The only reason Nintendo was popular is because they've taken a cornerstone market on their games. You don't see
like
them,
what?
you don't see them sharing their games.
Oh,
You don't see them sharing Pokemon. You don't see them sharing um, uh, Animal Crossing. You don't see them sharing Mario Kart.
Mario.
You don't see them sharing these games because they know if they were to give these games out to the other consoles, they're gonna lose their player base. I think they'd lose their player base immediately because some of these consoles and or PC can run the game so much better than what Nintendo can.
And and on top of that, if you have any gamer out there like the three of us, and I would venture to say that a majority of gamers think this way. If I can play Mario Kart on the Xbox or Mario Kart on the PC and be able to stream my game to Twitch or to wherever, there would be no reason to go buy a Switch.
Well, and
None
on
whatsoever.
top of that, it also goes to look at how many PC players use emulators for Pokemon.
Oh, I like everybody, dude. If you want to play
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pokemon, you just get an emulator. Hop on
Mm-hmm.
PC, you're good.
You
Exactly. I
can do that
mean,
with the older Marios. But I still stand behind when it comes down to a giant, you cannot write off Nintendo. You just can't do
no,
it.
no, you can't. And that's exactly what I was talking about in the beginning is how they've got such a stronghold on this part of the market. And they're like, you want to play these games? Okay, buy our console. That's the only reason why they're still relevant. And if you want to talk about how Sony is on an island, yeah, Sony's on an island, but Nintendo's on an even bigger island. The only reason Nintendo is more successful is because Nintendo
No, they're
knows
not.
what they're doing.
They're not on an island. Absolutely not. Let me ask you this question: what's the face of Sony, or what's the face of PlayStation?
God of War.
Right.
When
So if we put a so if we put a poll up and ask people what the face of Sony PlayStation is, everybody's going to say God of War.
there's three different games that you can think of when you think of PlayStation. You think God of War, you think The Last of Us, and I would say you would think Uncharted.
Okay. What about Xbox?
Halo,
Halo,
Forza, and
God's of War. Or not God of War, Gears of
Okay.
War.
Okay.
Gears of War, yeah.
Okay. Fireball just said what I wanted to hear. He named off more than one again, right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
What is the face of the Nintendo company?
Mario.
Hands
Mario.
down. Thank you. That's why
Again,
they are not on an island.
this is why I say they're on an island because they've only got really one game holding them up. If it weren't for
Hold
that
on.
game, if they shared that game with other, if they shared that game
Hold on.
with other companies, they would not have the player base they have right
I
now. They
have
would not have
I have
the
a couple I have a couple of points. One, Xbox is also included in this. Let's be real here.
Hmm.
Um, they don't necessarily. They are starting to hold a corner of the market, as in dabbling in both PC and console games. For the PC players, they're doing great on that front.
Yes, they are.
Sharing their games, they are starting to try to become more of a digital marketplace, more so than just console. So at a certain point, as Sweet Kitty Pie pointed out, that between Xbox and PlayStation now, it's just about comfortability, or how comfortable you are
Hmm.
with whatever you're playing with. Because realistically, only reason you'd ever get a PlayStation because of some of the exclusives, but then just wait a year or two and they'll go to PC. So at that rate, you don't need to
Yeah,
go buy an Xbox, just buy a PC, because you'll get the Xbox games on PC as well. Only two things you would need to buy is a PC and a Switch, because Switch games are never going to another console ever. And
never.
realistically, are they on an island? Yes, because they've put themselves there. They are on the most fortified island in gaming industry. They can't be touched. They hold the market for handhelds. They hold the market for Mario, for Pokemon, for everything, because they don't give those to other companies or anybody else to actually
exactly, and
play with.
that's what I'm trying to
Because,
say.
well, the point is they don't need to.
Exactly.
Why would Mario Kart need to run at 60 frames when it runs perfectly fine at 30 frames? What are you going to gain by giving it to giving it to a system that can run it better? Nothing, because it does look good when you play it on the Switch. When you get into the games like Call of Duty or Fortnite or any of those other shooter games that come to, or like Witcher or Cyberpunk, then it starts to matter about like, don't want to play that on the Switch.
Mm-mm.
That's pretty. They don't run
And
great at all on the Switch.
and Chungus, let's be honest. If I'm gonna go out and get Cyberpunk, I'm damn sure not getting it for the Switch.
No,
I know what the Switch is for. I know what the Xbox is for. I know what the PlayStation is for. PlayStation is just a brick because there ain't shit coming out from it. Xbox owns the gaming industry. Period. End of story. They're winning the war. Nintendo does not have to give any of their games out to anybody. In fact, people are giving them their games. So I do agree with Chungus and I do agree with Fireball. Are they on an island? Yes. Are they on the biggest fortified fucking island out there? Absolutely.
That's exactly what I
And
was
they're
trying to
not going
say.
to change anytime soon.
But that's exactly what I was trying to say is, you know, and they also and you guys can disagree with me all you want, but this is my natural opinion on this is they are holding their gaming IPs hostage when it comes to consumers wanting to have their IPs without actually, like for example Pokemon. They've held Pokemon hostage and not had a new game for it or a new update for it in years.
incorrect.
That's correct.
They've released Pokemon games all the time. Um,
Yep.
With any
Legitimately,
iteration,
this
Say
Call of
what?
Duty,
with any new Pokemon,
Like my
with any
point,
new Pokemon,
my
with yeah.
yes, actually, they release new generations. What are you talking about? Like legitimately, they do release new shit. Are people happy with it? Not necessarily all the time, because it's like, it doesn't feel as well done as it used to be. But legitimately, they still release new generations.
Okay.
You want to know what when the last generation was released in?
What was the last generation released in?
3 years ago in 2022.
3 years ago.
Yep.
3 years ago.
And also, and also, if you really want to think about it, Nintendo has taken Pokemon Go.
Okay, that doesn't really. That was a game that was popular in 2016 and hasn't really come back from Hasn't really come back
It's
until
but
like
it's still out there. It's still out there, and it still has a hell of a following.
okay.
And I'll tell you right now that on the Nintendo Switch, Sweet Kitty Pie, she'll go to the N64 area, and she'll tear her up some Pokemon. Well, it's like Tetris.
So I just want you to understand, due to, and I want to make sure we still keep giving correct information. Um, this is old, by the way. It's like 3 years ago now, but at this rate, um, just to give an idea, in June of 22, Pokemon Go had approximately 146,000 daily active users for
Mhm.
just the iPhone. That's not counting Samsung. That's not even. I believe you can get Pokemon Go on the Switch as well.
But
I think
that's
I'm
still
wrong on that. But my
that,
point is,
I don't
we
think you
say,
can.
hold on. My point's still standing. Let's just give it a flat 200,000 daily active users for Pokemon Go for a game. What other games can you say that are getting 200,000 users daily besides MMO, Helldivers 2, these super popular
Mobile,
games?
mobile.
It's a mobile game. It's going to have its users. It's still going to be popular technically. It may not be mainstream, but that does not mean it's not popular. Those are not always one and the same thing.
let me look something up because if I'm correct, I want to make sure that I am correct instead of getting another actually.
That's all I ever want you to do. Make
I
sure you look
thank
up
you
the
for that.
information before you talk about it. That's all I got to
Yes,
say.
yeah, I thank you for that.
Because I'm looking it up real quick. Mm, I would
I'm remaining
say,
silent 'cause I'm very interested.
I would say, a couple of mobile games out there that I think would probably have the same amount, if not more, congruent viewers or concurrent players out there.
Who's that?
Clash Royale, Clash of Clans. Um, let me see what else is out there.
Yeah, they'd be comparable, but Clash of Clans have been going downhill here lately.
Mm,
At least in our local area, I don't hear too many people playing it anymore.
yeah, that's fair.
But then again, that's a small sample too.
Sweet Kitty Pie said this. If you want me to read your comment really fast, Sweet Kitty Pie, please say it in other chats instead of over text. She said of to compare sales of consoles, you would have to loop in Xbox and PS together because it's basically a player comfortability thing with both
That's and that's
because a game
just
are
to just
widely
to
available between
just to
those two
interrupt what you're
consoles.
talking about. That's literally why I mentioned, hey, Sweet Kitty Pie brought up this point. Because it wasn't my point. I did state and brought her in for that. Um,
I didn't see that until later. My bad. Um, but again, this goes back to what I was saying about how the only reason, and again, agree to disagree if you want, but my opinion still stands. The only reason um, Nintendo is readily successful is because they hold hostage to their games.
Let me ask you this question, and you've already answered it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have one character that is the face of your franchise, there is no other face to Nintendo.
I mean,
Donkey Kong is not the face.
and I will say this,
Pokemon is not the face. Princess is not the face. Mario is the face.
right? And I understand that. And you
And
talk about
that's how
you want to have one singular face for a franchise, or you want to have one single face for a video game.
no, 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 I don't want no, that's not what I'm saying. That's not even what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is this. That's why they can be on that fortified island, is because Mario anchors them, because they've built up this franchise, because this franchise is so wildly popular, not only with the younger generation, like my grandkids, but it is also wildly popular with people of my age because we grew up with it. Everyone is growing up with this. Nintendo does not have to give this game to anybody. They can literally monopolize Mario because Mario is their property.
Yeah.
And that it's ingenious because Nintendo stayed the course. When they went way down, they stayed the course. Otherwise, oh well, hello, sweet kitty.
Hello.
Otherwise, they would be out of business by now. If they would have given Mario to anybody else, that would have been game over.
Mm-hmm.
Correct, but didn't they
Oh, excuse
buy
me.
Sega as well?
No,
Who has
they have
Sonic?
a
I believe
Sega.
Nintendo does.
Sega does. No, Sega does. And Sega is not owned by Nintendo. They have a licensing agreement to bring them out.
Okay, I want to go back just a couple minutes while I was getting logged in. Excuse me, I look like a raccoon in a trash can because I in no way, shape, or form expected to be here. One, you cannot compare games that were brought out in 2006, 2009 to games brought out in 2016. You have loyal super fan bases, and that is an ever evolution game. Also, you can't bring out like the first mobile game. Clash of Clans was like one of the first big mobile games. You can't compare that to the saturated market that is now mobile games.
Well,
Two, what I
the
was trying to say is um what I was going to try to say with consoles is if you are going to compare PlayStation to Nintendo or Xbox to Nintendo, you need to you need to combine PlayStation and Xbox together because the games are fairly universal. As you guys are talking about, oh hey, you know, this the Switch has the cornerstone on the market because they have certain specific titles. And what titles do these have? Well, I mean, PlayStation just let Xbox have Fallout, and that was one of their big cornerstones. So those, I mean,
you mean
it's fairly
Xbox let
common,
PlayStation have Fallout?
Xbox did.
Because Xbox
right?
owns
But it
Bethesda.
used to be PlayStation exclusive.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Never,
Never.
never,
I thought
never been
Uh-uh.
exclusive.
Nope.
Oh, okay. That's my bad. But you don't it's basically a comfortability thing. What controller are you most comfortable with? What system are you most used to running? That's why your loyal Sony fans are going to stay with Sony because they've always ran with Sony. Your loyal Xboxers are going to stay with Xbox. They've always been loyal to Xbox. And I mean, the ebb and flow of those two consoles, I mean, Xbox has put out some shit consoles like the 360 or the
360 was
PlayStations.
the 360 was actually
Thinking
rated
the
to be.
one.
It was right there
You're thinking
with
of the Xbox One, not the
PlayStation 3.
360. The
That's
360
Okay,
actually
is
beat
it the
out.
one that was the
Mm-hmm.
really, I mean, it was an
yeah.
absolute shit console to where, I mean, they barely last a year. The red ring of death, which console was that?
That was the
That was the 360.
360. But that could have been easily fixed.
It, it could have been, but it didn't. There, I
I mean,
mean, they didn't.
we've compared sales from the 360 and the PlayStation 3. They are comparable. They were both very popular consoles, and they both had their own exclusives. One was not better than the other, unironically.
But when you're looking at the 360 and the PS3, you're also looking at an era where they had more exclusives. And they've gotten into an
Yes.
era now where they do not have as many exclusives. So if you want to pull exclusives to what runs better and what does better, you have to compare the sales of PlayStation and Xbox to the Switch. Now, in terms of business and marketability, um people that can get the Switch and play the games from the Switch that they could play on other consoles, they're going to buy the Switch and they're not going to get the other consoles. And that's because, and then, like you guys were talking about, also frame rates, you know, video game purists, like all of us. I mean, you guys pretty much all play on PC, whereas I'm a console girl. So I like my console. You guys all like, you all three are PC. And while I could go to PC, the thought of turning on a Microsoft system grosses me out.
I mean, that's fair. But again,
Okay.
looking back, talking about the consoles, statistically, I think, and I think everybody can agree with me when you say this, but the standing for the best console via generations, starting with Xbox 360 versus PS3, Xbox 360 wins over PS3, PS4 wins over um,
The
Xbox
Xbox
One,
One.
and then now the Xbox Series S wins over PS5 or Xbox Series
Well,
X.
right back to what Sweet Kitty Pie said. Okay. And I'm going to beat this one in now. It all goes to whatever they prefer. Because up until recently, you couldn't get me anything else besides a PlayStation. The only reason why I went over to Xbox was because
Starfield.
of Starfield and the Bethesda threat of them being uh,
Exclusive.
Xbox exclusive. Now that I have a PC, to tell you the honest to God truth, I'd go back to the PlayStation because I am a Sony kind of guy.
But why? I have to
I'm just
actually
more
ask this.
comfortable. I'm
With
just
the
more
controller?
comfortable with everything.
30 years of gaming.
Well, hold on. Because
35
each
years of
each
gaming.
each console, they
Yep.
change the UI and layout of everything, so it is not the same as it was
It
before.
just feels more
So,
comfortable.
Okay.
Godfather, let me have this one. So, original Nintendo and Sony, and I mean, Sony came in. Sony came in after Nintendo, before Microsoft and Xbox, and Sony did a very, very good job of emulating at the time, I believe, PS1 and Super Nintendo. Am I wrong, Godfather?
No. Yes and no. It came out right between the conversion between Super Nintendo and the N64.
Okay.
At least in
So
this area.
where comfortability went out the window and where Nintendo started losing some players on that is, like, for me, my comfortability level
Oh,
is my controller. Sony has never not drastically changed the controllers, like, oh my gosh, like, oh, some of the Nintendo controllers and some of their consoles were capped and friggin' crazy.
Can
I
we
mean,
highlight?
some look like steering wheels, and you're just like, I'm gonna land me a starship.
Can we highlight the
And
Nintendo 64 controller and how wonky that looked?
that was
that's the
beautiful. That was
spaceship
amazing.
the spaceship steering wheel I was just referring to. But
The N64 controller was amazing.
Sony, oh, you
Being
would,
that was the first
you would.
Nintendo game or Nintendo console I had. And that was the original controller that I grew up with. That controller felt absolutely amazing, and it felt weird going when I started playing the PS3. It felt weird playing with two joysticks instead of one.
We're at a 5-minute warning, ladies and gentlemen. 5 minutes.
But Sony was able to capitalize off of Nintendo because Nintendo made that massive controller of the N64, and the generation of gamers that had already been created through the Super Nintendo, with it looked like two wheels connected by a rod, and it wasn't far off from the completely square basic Nintendo. And then you had PlayStation coming in with something super similar. They didn't really change the button layout. They just changed, what it the roundness of it. And then you had Nintendo come out with the end, be like, all right, you want to come in with that? I'm going to come in with something different. So you have a lot of people, Gen X, early millennials, gamers that are PlayStation loyalists, because as Nintendo started going downhill, they liked the PlayStation better. And then you have a lot of, like, your guys' generation that has a tendency to be more Xbox because the controllers were similar to Nintendo at that time. So you've got to look at it's the evolution of gaming. And that's why some and that's I mean,
And on top of that, the one thing that we're not talking about with all this is the popularity of the games when they were kids.
right.
Okay. So in my day, I hate saying that because it makes me feel old, but either way,
You are old.
Mario, shut up. Mario was the hot thing. Then in the late 90s, Final Fantasy VII was like the game. If you had Final Fantasy VII, I swear to God, you did not come out of your house for a fucking year. One whole year was spent inside.
I think that's how
Mhm.
And if
GTA
you
6 is gonna be.
accidentally deleted it, if you accidentally deleted your progress, you freaking cried. When you
I
guys were
s-
coming up,
I
the
swear
the,
to
the
God,
hopping game was on the Xbox.
y'all need to when GTA 6 comes out, y'all need to set shower and food reminders.
I hope you know I'm hoping to have enough PTO saved up to where I don't have to go to work.
All right. Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time.
All right, I'm out.
All right. Thank you, Sweet Kitty Pie. Oh, it's good to see our producer come in and set us straight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna still disagree because it's about comfortability, but at the end of the day as well, to be fair, to be completely honest with you, if that's the selling point of a console for you, then you might as well just play PC. Like at the end of the day, because you can have
Because
whatever controller you want at that point, and it won't matter.
Actually, you can't.
yes,
Yes,
you
you can.
Uh,
There's literal correction. Erm,
Frustrator just ran into that last night.
actually, there is software you can download to be for PlayStation
Oh,
controllers to be compatible,
hey,
or
Crest Rider,
Nintendo
listen up.
controllers to be compatible with
Crest
PC.
Rider, listen up to Chungus. Get your shit straight so we can go wander through the wasteland again.
Yeah,
All right, Fireball, take us out of here.
do.
that's why I'm gonna just say PC is always the best. I'm just I've seen the light.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
gonna
okay. Fireball, take
speech
us
to
out.
Dude, I gotta
Goss.
get going. Let's go.
Wait on you. You got to talk. Speak up. Say it with your chest.
Get us out of here.
Aren't you supposed
Say it with your
to?
chest.
Move us out of the frame, Chungus.
Exactly. He's not doing his damn job.
Come on, Tech Boy.
He's just doing it just to fuck with me now.
On me?
All right, there we go. As you can probably see, I'm no longer. Damn, I'm no longer banned. Are you done? Do you need me to come in there?
Oh, it's on. All right.
I will. Still got camera. I had to go deal with something real quick. But as you can see, I'm no longer banned on TikTok. We finally got that ban over. It was over Monday, but had some other stuff I had to deal with. Plan on having a stream tomorrow morning. Um, for those who are living in the United States watching, that is Wednesday morning. Don't really know the time frames for everywhere else, but I digress. Probably gonna be playing some more Helldivers because we're still on this major order for defending Super Earth. That's all I got. Chungus.
Chungus, I swear to God. I swear to cow. Okay. Well, hello, no. I swear to God.
Do I need to come
We
in
got
there?
we got to take the controls away from him. Anyways, so tomorrow, Wednesday, I will be streaming Fallout 76. We're still on our quest there. I'm hoping to have Crest Rider join me while we do some exploring through the wasteland and getting Godfather leveled up and getting me all my stuff back that I used to have on the PS5. Uh, for Thirsty Thursday, we're going to be taking a walk around the block, checking out our favorite games, and I will let you know if I'm going to stream on Friday and Sunday on Thursday night. That is all I have, Chungus. You can take the mic now.
Chungus. You, not me.
Hello, guys. I just had to do it to all three of us to make it nice and equal, so nobody felt they were getting attacked or anything. I have the Dead by Daylight video that I have been working on. That will be uploaded Friday, so hopefully, tune in, check that out. Hopefully, you'll enjoy it, you'll like it. And something else I wanted to bring up is that here soon I will be dabbling within talking about the lore for games, doing a deep dive into the actual story and everything surrounding the story for games. I'm not sure when I will set out on that journey, but stay tuned. It'll be fun. That's it. That's all I have. That's all three of us handled. Hand handled.
All righty, let's get out of here, Fireball.
All right, well, I'll see you guys later. Hopefully, you guys will. Just take me home.
You're the one who said you had to go. I don't know what you want from me. I keep trying to hurry so long, and you're
Just take me out.
Okay. Wow. Peace and love, guys. Chungus, I swear.
These guys are chungus. Ciao.